Whether you love them or hate them, licensed games has been part of gaming for a long time. While most of them are just rushed cash-ins on upcoming films or popular franchises, there have been many that rise to the occasion that not only be good, but also revolutionary and celebrate the franchises that they are a part of.
I'm Ninjato, counting down my top 5 licensed video games because I want to.
Out of all the franchises out there, Tolkien's Middle-earth have an inconsistent relationship of having truly great video games, until the year of incredible disappointments to have a game that is really fantastic. And that game is, of course, Shadow of Mordor. Following the trend of the Middle-earth games of taking place during the events of The Lord of the Rings, this game takes place in between The Hobbit and The Fellowship of the Ring. The game tells the tale of Talion, a ranger from Gondor, who was killed by the Black Hand who wants to revive the Dark Lord. Unfortunately, Talion is cursed to hang out with a wraith, which gives him immortality and a goal to hunt down the Black Hand to remove the curse. The story is well done. It does have the spirit of Tolkien's writings, and it also foreshadows a lot of the key elements of the events during the War of the Ring. The gameplay is what you get if you combine the mission structure and climbing mechanics of the Assassin's Creed series with the combat and stealth gameplay of the Batman Arkham games. The game also have a nemesis mechanic where the orc that kills you becomes a captain that can level up to eventually be a boss character. And if you kill him, he can come back with scars and a vendetta against you. The collectibles are one of the best I have seen in a video game. They took the concept from the Tomb Raider reboot of finding artifacts, but it also have you finding special symbols to get more lore about the land of Mordor before Sauron was introduced to the game of golf by Galadriel. When talking about great licensed games, you have to at least mention the Arkham games, and for good reasons. They not only grant the player the ability to truly be the Dark Knight with mostly solid gameplay, have mostly good level designs, having most of the voices from the Batman animated series from the 90s, but also have stories that mostly stay true to the Batman lore.
Emphasis on mostly.
Unfortunately, most of the stories themselves aren't that great. They have the problem of focusing too much on Batman villains that are completely uninteresting, while the more interesting villains were regulated into side quests or minor obstacles. Except for the Joker, who is the main antagonist throughout most of the games. But the game that actually did the best of balancing Batman's rogues gallery while having a truly great story is Batman Arkham Origins. Even though it was developed by people who worked on the Arkham City port to the Wii U instead of the original developers, they took the solid gameplay mechanics of Arkham City and add stuff that makes the game more challenging, like the martial artists that can counter your attacks, and easier to play, like using the Batwing as the fast travel mechanic. The biggest addition to the gameplay is that there are moments where Batman have to investigate crime scenes to figure out what happened and possibly find the people that committed the murder. These segments are a good addition, and it fits the world's greatest detective aspect of Batman. Other than that, the game mostly remained the same, but the reason that it's the best Batman game is for its story. Taking place on the Christmas Eve on Batman's second year of patrolling Gotham, a bounty was put on his head by the Black Mask to aid assassins that have until dawn to do the job. While investigating the reasons for the bounty, Batman meets the Joker for the first time in his career. The plot does have the problem of being predictable if you know anything about Batman, but the selling point is that the characters that inhabit the story are fantastic. Even though Batman and the Joker are voiced by different voice actors, they managed to add more depth to these characters than the rest by making them more like real people than costume vigilantes and villains.
And they don't suffer from situational characterization syndrome like in Arkham Knight.
Remember what I said in the intro? There have been many that rise to the occasion that not only be good,
but also revolutionary and celebrate the franchises that they are a part of.
The last two games were games that focused mainly on the former. Not that they didn't pay any attention to the latter, it's that it wasn't the main focus of those games.
That can't be said about Deadpool the video game.
Bring the noise!
As opposed to reinvent game designs like the previous two entries, this game instead makes a game that celebrates the character of the Merc with a mouth. And it's glorious! From the constant insanity of the situation that Deadpool is put through, to the satisfying combat system, the game manages to bring the character of Deadpool in the forefront of the game itself. The basic plot is that Deadpool forces High Moon Studios to make a game for him. When he receives the script, he promptly ignores the script and winds up being part of a standard X-Men plot to stop Mr. Sinister's evil scheme to take over the world. What makes the story so entertaining is the constant jokes that makes fun of video game and comic book tropes, along with the constant destruction of the fourth wall. The gameplay consists of mainly going room to room to fight baddies that don't vary much in the design department, with a mixture of using both melee weapons like swords and hammers, and guns ranging from pistol and... I would have put it higher if it weren't for the boss fights, which are very forgettable, and I can't recommend this game to everyone because of the adult content. Lots of swearing, blood, gore, and definitely objectifying women. Just look at Rogue after she absorbed some of Deadpool's powers.
Girls are as...
Nope! Next number!
Transformers: Fall of Cybertron is the game that all future Transformers games are going to be compared to, in both the story, the presentation, and the gameplay that not only improved the gameplay of the original, but also constantly gets mixed up that it was never boring to play.
Unless, of course, you die a lot, then it will become boring.
The story is simple. The Autobots is leaving Cybertron because of the events of the last game, while the Decepticons are trying to stop them. The story is well done of showing off all the various Transformers with their own personality and how awesome they are. On the gameplay front, the game continues the third-person shooting with the ability to transform into the various vehicles of the first game, but instead of picking one of 3 Transformers per mission, you're just stuck with one Transformer. Instead, the game constantly changes the gameplay by having levels revolve around stealth and levels where you are a giant Transformer that melees your enemies. Not only that, the second to last level have you play as Grimlock, which have you using sword combat, and your vehicle mode is a giant T-Rex that breathes fire!
You can probably guess which franchise my #1 game is based on.
Spider-Man Shattered Dimension is the ultimate licensed game ever made. Even though it doesn't innovate much, or even dig deep in the lore of Spider-Man like the rest of the games of this list, it's the game that is the most genuine of celebrating who Spider-Man is and why he is so amazing. The plot is that during a battle with Mysterio, Spider-Man accidentally destroys the Tablet of Order and Chaos, which is causing all reality to undo itself. So it's up to him and 3 alternate versions of himself to restore reality by putting the tablet back together. The plot is simple yet entertaining because of the versions of Spider-Man who are voiced by the various people who voiced Spider-Man in the various cartoons based on him. The gameplay is simple, with a focus on the combat system that allows for a variety of combos that look spectacular, that is changed up based on the 4 dimensions in the game. The Amazing Spider-Man's combat have him using his webbing to shape into hammers. Ultimate Spider-Man used the symbiote suit to make tentacles that allow for more area control combat. And the Astonishing Spider-Man from the year 2099 used the power of to dodge homing missiles and to take out the baddies faster. For the fourth dimension, we have the sensational Noir Spider-Man, who uses fisticuffs, but mainly uses stealth that is very similar to the Arkham games, but does it better because it uses the fact that Spider-Man can wall crawl, which leads to various ways to take down the enemies. And the boss battles are one of the most astonishing selection I have seen in a video game, especially for a licensed game. And you fight the boss multiple times in a level like a good comic would have. Overall, this game is astonishing, sensational, spectacular, amazing, and the ultimate licensed game.
I'm the Holy Ninja, and this game was so good that it was my favorite game of all time. Well, until I was introduced to the Persona series.